Good afternoon, everyone, and uh, thank you for joining today. Today, we are going to start with a very interesting topic. Actually, it's very close to my heart, and I've been working in this particular field since last several years now. And the day by day I work more, it fascinates me more. So let me begin with certain scenarios. Okay, so let's create certain understanding before we actually jump into the topic and what the entire topic is all about. Okay, so Tesla is coming up with an autonomous cars. On the other side, Google is investing billions of dollars in autonomous cars. There are rumors that Apple is also working on an autonomous cars. Now, the question on the same side of it, a lot of cities in the United States and Europe has already given the permit for an autonomous cars to commercialized, and they can drive freely on the road. What happens if it gets larger? What happens if every country, everyone is starting using the autonomous cars? What effects it can generate? What the future is going to look like in 10 years if every car on the road is autonomous cars? On the other side, to think about the Ola and Uber. Ola and Ubers are facing a huge challenge with their drivers, and these drivers are with their payments, with their availability, and there's a lot of challenge they're facing. So what happens if Uber or Ola decides that every car should be replaced by an autonomous cars, where you simply use your mobile phone just as you do it now, call an Uber or Ola, it automatically picks up car wherever the closest car picks up your location through the GPS, comes at your doorstep based on your location, using some identity, or you simply unlock the car, you get into the car, enter the destination from your phone, and car automatically drops you. There is no physical drivers are available in the car. It's purely autonomous. What happens then? What future are we? Is this the future fascinates you? Of course it does. But does it have a negatives too? Of course it does. What happens if somebody hacks into your car, and what happens if somebody hacks into your car and locks it from the outside where you cannot open it? It puts you somewhere. Think about the hypothetical scenario. It just parks the car on the on the railway track and asks for the ransom money and says, unless and until you transfer the money into this account, I will not let it go, and you are forced. So future is of course beautiful. Technologies are going to unlock a lot of potentials, but on the other side there was negative challenges also. It also comes up with the problems, new crimes that are never there before. Futures thinking is all about identifying those potential what we today we do not have, which has a potential to create a huge productivity. On the other side of it, also identifying those challenges which are associated with those future, which are associated with those newer technologies, and identifying solutions for those technologies, identifying opportunities, identifying the create an opportunity for the people working towards those solutions. That is all about the futures thinking is. So let's understand. Today I'm going to talk about a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different cases, and a lot of few technologies, what really the futures thinking is, how we really adapt to the new future. Like, because we all say future is continuously changing. If you just look at the recent scenario, suddenly overnight our future has been changed. People are talking about, just because of this corona effect or because of our quarantined life, which we have never thought about it. People are talking that there is a new era will come up. Are we going to work the same way we gonna work before we were locked down? Are we are we going to give? I know we used to give hugs, we used to shake hands with the people we meet after a long time. Are we continue doing that? Are we looking at the changing scenarios? Are we going to stop hugging people, stop shaking hands in the future? The new type of relationship will emerge. Are Do you think this is the real this time is the rise of the digital educations, the new technology? What does it brings, and how can we take such challenges to our own benefit? When we think about those things, when we actually take the advantage of these things, when we predict the scenarios, and imagine the scenarios and start working towards that. That is all about the futures thinking. So we will talk about each and every point in a very methodical way, and I will take you to the entire journey of a futures thinking, what it is all about. So I hope you can see my screen. So before we begin the topic, let me talk about few rules again. People who have attended the previous sessions, they are already, please keep your session on mute all the time. Please write in the chat box if you have any questions, and feel free to ask me whatever the questions you may have. um, please keep pen and paper with you. Tag Hedweeg Innovations for all the activities we do, and I will guide you whenever it comes. Okay. uh, and don't forget to have fun. It's always fun to learn something new. Okay, so let's begin. It says that in dealing with the future, it is far important to be imaginative than to be right. It is all about, it is not about the predicting the right future. It is about just an imagining the future and making it right. Okay, we are not astrologer, we are not talking about astrology, we are not jyotish where we are predicting ki kya hone wala hai or what is going to happen. No, we are not doing that. Whether it is correct or not, we don't know, because we know, if anybody tells me, if anybody tells you that yes, I can predict the future, he is wrong. And nobody can predict the future. We are also not here to predict the future. We are only imagining what happens if this comes in. The questions, the right questions, and am I really, am I personally, am I professionally, my organization really prepared for dealing with such scenarios? What do I need to do it today in order to take advantage of these technology if it gets widespread? Okay, so we will talk about each and every step on a very structured way. Okay, so let's talk about certain definition first. I want to talk about the definitions. Just give me one second. My the pictures are blocking my. Okay, so future thinking is all about a technology company anticipating the long-term ethics and consequences of its new product. As I said, Uber is anticipating what happens if I start adopting this new technology, how it happens. I was reading an article because of this corona pandemic we are facing right now. Probably the new era is the entire thing is contactless. People are going towards the contactless services, contactless product, because it's not a short term. It's a long term affair. It has a deep rooted impacts towards the not only the economy but also to the social impact, how we behave, how we work with each other. So people are exploring the contactless services in the business. So probably this is the time. There was a talk about the drone services used by the Amazon and Swiggy's and all the delivery. Do you think this is the reason the drone will actually rise for the delivering your products and services, and this technology may get a big jump towards it? Everything is becoming contactless, and that is one of the great article I have read. So the technologies companies are trying to anticipate what are the new technologies, how these technologies starts getting leveraged, what happens to the long run, will the society benefit, or what is the harm they might get at the long run. Futures thinking is all about city government coming up with the new ways to be resilient in the face of a climate change, weather changes, climate. What kind of a new buildings, community services will you need it to help people to cope up with this extreme weather we are facing right now? Future thinking is all about planning. The university is planning new kinds of courses, majors, and degrees to teach students to work skills for the future. It says in India only 10% of the students who graduate there are employable. Universities are facing huge challenge in creating the employable students. And on the other side of it, suddenly this quarantine phase, lockdown phase have emerged, the entire online learning. Do you think this is the rise of entire digital education? Do you think that in next 5 years or 10 years university will not even exist, the physical university? People will only prefer an online education. Online education will become the major future. If that is the case, how the university will cope up with that, right? What, when these questions you start answering, and the thought process, and take those advantage, take those opportunity to your own advantage, your industry, personally, professionally, whatever industry you work with, and start focusing on building those. That is future thinking. Okay. Futures thinking is all about an entrepreneur inventing a new services and for a changing world, because we say we are continuously disrupting. We are disrupting in every industry. If not today, tomorrow it will get disrupted. So are you a part of it? Are you the front runner of the disruptions, or are you the last runner? Because if you don't be a part of a disruption, you will be disrupted, right? So how aggressively you are going towards that? Are you really visionary, right? Futures thinking is all about the CEO looking to lead their company into the future to avoid being disrupted by the technologies or competitors, as I said. Future thinking is an engineer looking to inspire others with the vision of future that are hopeful, finding innovating new ways. It says technology emerges, and every technology starts coming up at a one point as a uh, somebody invents something. Okay, it has a small applications. Over the period of time, people start looking into it and people start associating this technology. Giving you an example is an application. 12 years ago, when Apple came up with their iPhone, that time Steve Jobs come up with the concept of an applications, that apps. Today app business itself is more than three or I think more than $5 trillion industry itself. Only application. Okay, people have used application to entire a different level. Those are companies who become the billionaire, like a Facebook. Their whole product is an application. Ola, Uber, whole product is an application. Just one app, the entire industry has emerged. What happens? What happens then, right? So what are the futures thinking is all about you, we all think about the life we want to lead, the changes we want to make, the world we want to live in. What actions can we take today to prepare us to lead our best life and make the biggest positive impact over the society? When we start thinking about those things, when we start asking the right questions, we start directing our mind, our thought process, and our actions to the right direction. That is the futures thinking. And so it is time that we unthink the way we used to do things. We were used to do things in a very the way, whatever the way we were doing it. It's time that we have to unthink and we have to rethink about everything, whatever we are doing it today. Now, how do we rethink? Okay, now that's I'm going to take it. So let's think like a futurist. Okay, it's time that we need to think like a futurist. What is a futurist? Okay, what are the 5 core principles? Okay, so we will go with the first 5 principles and I will go with the certain methods. Okay, so forget about predictions. As I said, future thinking is not astrology. We are not talking about predictions. Okay, because nobody can do predictions, but we can imagine that what do we want in the future, what type of a life we want to live in, what type of opportunity I want to create for myself, for the people, for the community I love work with, for my organization, for my customers, for my country, everybody who you care about. What type of future you want to imagine, and try to it's time to design that future for you yourself. That is, so it's not about the prediction, it's about imagining and making it happen. Okay, focus on the signals. Now, what is signal? Signal is something which drives which is there, already existed today, but it has a potential to scale. As I said, application was originally only happened came up in an iPhone, right? And then people have scaled it up to the large level, and now everybody use this concept. Drone technology, it has come up for the defense purpose. Now people are using it in a commercial purpose. What happens if it's go at a large extent, it's widespread, it becomes very common. What happens if drone becomes common, like every household, everyone will start having a drone? What will happen? What the future will look like? Whenever you look outside, what your city will look like if everybody uses drone for their day-to-day activities or for their applications, whatever they do, right? So think, identify those signals, and I will talk about those signals in a much detail with a few examples in the future. Third is look back to see forward. When I say look back, every major shift in the future, if you actually put a historical timeline, every major event, every major shift has been triggered with a major event. So do we think this current pandemic, current situation, what we are facing, is one of the major event for the major shift in the digital era, in the major shift in the contactless era, major shift in every aspects of the industry? Does it? Do you think, is it? Is this current pandemic have a potential to disrupt lot of industry? What happens to those industry if it disrupts? What new business has a potential to rise, which does not exist today at all? And what happens if it comes, right? So look back to see forward, start putting it says, and go in order to create, imagine the right future, or a most possible future. You need to go all the way back, at least double, go double back. Like for example, if you want to predict for 10 years that what happens, today we are in 2020, what happens by 2030 in my industry, at least study. So it says if you want to predict for 10 years, you go back at least 20 years, study last 20 years. So you can go as much as minimum, at least go 20 years to actually predict the 10 years. If you want to go further 20 years, study the past 40 years. Okay, and we will take the example also for the look back to see forward as well. Once you start putting those signals, once you start looking at the historical timeline, you will start uncovering those patterns, that yes, you can see the patterns, how things are moving, how things are going, right? And then you will know that what 10 years from now will look like. There are certain very structured pattern you will see. So once you have to identify those patterns, the identifies those trigger events, and those events will be your signals. Drivers is something, a concept which what drives us towards that. Like for example, as I was talking about, giving you an example of the Uber with an autonomous cars. So the driverless car is a signal that this technology already exists, it's already available in the market, it's just not yet commercialized it. Drivers is something which drives us to adopt these technology. Like Ola and Uber are facing a huge challenges with the drivers now. The actual the drivers are the huge challenge. So that challenge drives Uber and Ola to adopt this technology, right? So drivers are the something which makes us, which forces us to change the future. Okay, and it says create a community. Create a community is, it's not a single person's job, it's the community. When people come together, when uh, when people, like-minded people come together, people give their thought process, it's a collaborative effort. When people work together towards that, you can make it happen. Okay, so create a community which is a like-minded, which are focused on the future, which are interested in the future, which are who wants to really explore and uncover the scenarios of the future. Okay, now four skills as a futures thinking you required. Okay, this is a little bit clumsy slide, but I think it is very important for you to understand, so that is why I've kept it. Okay, so first let's understand the structure of this slide. I have put a four corners: number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Four quadrants is divided into four different. Okay. So let's talk about the top quadrant. Top quadrant is when you think that you are very powerful to make the changes, where you can do something, that you fall under the the top two quadrants. When you think that you don't have any power to do it, or you cannot control the future, then you comes under the bottom two quadrant. Now if we talk about the right and a left quadrant, in the right quadrant, if you think that, if you're optimist about the future, if you think the future is going is better, future is going very positive, okay, then you are on the right side of the quadrant. If you think future is, if you are a pessimist about the future, it's like, okay, you know, a lot of people keep a Kali Yuga aa raha hai, and they are not, future is getting worse, things are not going to get easy. If you're a pessimist about the future, then you could fall under the left quadrant. So now from the upper quadrant to lower quadrant and right and left, you will fall under one particular bucket. Either you are a one. Now 90% of the people normally falls under the 0 1 first bucket, which is the uh, no power with optimism towards the future. I also do fall under the one bucket, because I'm very optimist about the future. I think the future is beautiful. I think I'm very positive about the future. The changes are happening. It's happened for the good, and it will make the humanity much better. So I'm a very optimistic for the future. Yet I feel that I may not have that much power, but at least I have a passion to do something about it. I have a passion to actually contribute towards it. Right. So I fall under the 0 1 bucket. So think about it, what bucket you fit in, 0 1 0 2, and you can put that in a chat box, so I know what people fall under. Are you a 0 1, are you 0 2 bucket, 0 3, or 0 4? Okay, so let us know what where you fall. Okay, now let's talk about the 0 1 bucket. If you are optimist and you feel that you don't have power, what you do? Then there is a skill called a forecasting skills. Forecasting skills has a different techniques and methods which you can use it, which help you discover the signals, as I was talking about the signals and the drivers. What are available today? What are the signals available in the available you can see around the world, and what drives that signal for getting it much larger? Okay, so then how do you create the scenario? How can you actually contribute towards that future? So you use the forecasting skills to actually think about the futuristic scenarios. If you are a pessimist, if you but you think you also don't have a power, and I don't think so, future is going to be great, future is getting worse, humanity is getting worse, it's a global warming, climate is changing. And then the simulation skills will help you push your boundaries. What you believe can be different from what actual reality is, but there is a hope for a realistic reasons, for there is a hope that you can convert. These techniques will actually give you a hope that, you know, world is not that as bad as what you think. You know, there is a beautiful future is also there. And this is how you can make it beautiful. If you think it's not beautiful, how can you make it beautiful? Right? So those techniques, those skill sets will actually help you convert your pessimism to the optimism at certain extent. If you think, if you fall under the third bucket, if you think you are very optimistic for the future, on the other side, if you also think that you are all powerful, you can do something about it and you can make real difference, then the collaborative gaming skills, which help you. Because when you think that you are too powerful to make changes, you know, there might be that you might be missing certain points from the other people's perspective, because how those beautiful future affect you could affect a different people in a different manner. It could be a beautiful future for you, or any particular event it's in your benefit, but it has a very negative impact to the certain community as well. So it helps you make sure that you don't your optimism does not have any blind spots. The moment you get some other people's perspective, the collaborative perspective, you can see what you might have missed it. Because when you are too optimistic, and when you are too you think that you are too powerful to make the change, you might blindsided by certain facts which can be triggered from the other people's perspective, right? So collaborative gaming skills will help you identify those adverse effects from the different people's point of view. Okay, so you can, all the holistic picture can be taken care. And the fourth is urgent optimism. When you think you are too powerful, yet you are too negative about it, right? Then it will help you craft certain strategies and actions which can convert into an immediate optimism, because you are actually validating those things. Because, and number four, the people who falls under number four, they are a good chances they can they can convert into a number three and start using the collaborative, because moment they become an optimism, they can use their strength, they can use their power to create those better future. Okay, so these are the four techniques, and it's a very detailed subject. Each technique is very intense, so it is not possible practically to cover all the techniques in detail. So today I'm going to take most common techniques, which is the forecasting skills, which is, and if global survey says that almost 80 to 85% of the people falls under the 0 1 category, that box, because majority of the people are very optimistic, yet they don't know whether they are strength, whether they are powerful or not. So normally conservatively they put themselves into the 0 1 bucket. Okay, so that's what we pick it. Okay, so first talk about the forecasting skills. Forecasting skill is, future is beautiful, future is great, future is very uh, amazing, and how can I play, the question is how can I play an active role to make it even better, how can I contribute towards that positive future, how can I leverage uh, the situations today, how can I leverage those future to my own advantage, whether it's personally, professionally, either way. Okay, so first is, again, what is signal. Let's go a little bit detail about the signal, which is one of the major principle of a futures thinking. A signal is a specific example of the future in the present. Okay, as I said, as I was telling, like autonomous cars has a bright future, but it is already there in the present. It is just not scaled enough to the larger audience, larger public. Majority of the public have not, it is still in the research phase, it is still in the testing phase, but the technology already there. It has a potential to larger scale, it has a scalability, potential of a scalability, I think that's the right word, potential of a scalability. Okay, and what happens the moment it scales, right? So it's an example, those events. Giving you another example of a signal, I don't know whether you have read or not, but around 3 months ago, in the newspaper, I have read, it was a front article, uh, front page, that in Japan, they have used artificial intelligence and a machine learning to solve 80,000 pending cases. Okay, 80,000 pieces. So what they have, the Japanese government judiciary system, they have done is, they have actually incorporated all those backlog year, all those last 100 years of cases into the system. The similar cases which already they have given verdict to, similar cases, they have made this, used a machine learning and AI learning, and whatever the verdict it was given into earlier with the similar type of cases, they have given the verdict to all the 80,000 pending cases, and the verdict was approved by the Supreme Court of Japan. Do you think that is a signal? Do you think that's, it says that, do you think there is a possibility of our entire judiciary system will be replaced by an AI or a machine learning in next, maybe not 10 years or 20 years, but maybe 30 years, maybe 40 years, but entire system will be replaced by a machine learning or artificial intelligence? Do you see the possibility that even our government will be ruled or will be taking the decision using the AI and machine learnings? Right, government, our country will govern by these AIs and machine learnings. Do you think that future is possible in next 40 years? Right? Yes, no, doesn't matter. The question, does that question arises in your thought process? That's what matters. And if it happens, what are the, if it happens, what are the, and am I really prepared for it? That's the question. Okay, signal is where future is already here, it is just not evenly distributed. Right, a signal is the clue that things might not become different, but how does it become different? Right, so that's the questions. So I will talk about one signal as an example. Just give me okay, let me take one example of a United Nations. United Nations has just unveiled a design for a new floating city that withstand category 5 hurricanes. Okay, this is a beautiful example, and I really want everybody to follow this. Okay, just give me 1 second. I just want to make sure that I am in the Writing. Okay. Okay. All right. Just keep this. Dealing with this is also okay. A United Nations has unveiled the design for a new floating city that can withstand Hurricane 5. Okay, how the human will survive whatever the extreme weather and climate changes we face over the next century. Okay, so what are they designing is they're designing the city with a hexagonal platforms. Do you see the hexagonal platforms in the example? Each platform can hold up to 300 residents, up to 300 residents. A group of six connected hexagons create one village. Okay, six connected villages creates one city. Okay, and each city supports total of approximately 10,000 people. Okay, so they are anchored. They are anchored within a mile near the closest coastal city. All the buildings will be constructed with a sustainable material like timber and bamboo. Okay, and United Nations is currently working with Oceanics, MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and the Explorers Club for a city prototyping docked near in on the Eastern River near the Manhattan, New York City. And the prototype will be ready. They are predicting to be ready by end of 2020. This current pandemic might push it a year or two, but they are currently working on this prototyping. Now, if this becomes reality, think about this as futures thinking. As a futures thinking professional, it makes me thinking that are we moving from a world in which humans are adopt to the surface on the earth anywhere wherever land happens to be? Are we really constantly redesigning the surface of the earth wherever we feel comfortable or wherever we want to be? Are who will be the people are covered in these cities, who will live in these cities, floating cities? Are there any opportunity to experiment new type of government? Are we looking at the open lands and open citizenship? What are the questions comes into your mind when you look at this type of cities? What happens? This is just a prototype. What happens if it becomes successful and there are millions of cities in our ocean, these floating cities? What happens then to the land, right? And what new opportunities brings for the people? Now, when you start answering these type of questions, then the real so yeah, these are the few photographs of those prototypes I have taken from their site. This is the city they are creating the prototype, right? So again, how do we interpret the signals? How do we interpret the signals? So what kind of changes you ask whenever you see certain so this floating city is a signal for us. It says something very interesting. It actually it triggers our thought process to the next level. It triggers our thought process with a lot of questions, a lot of opportunities can be discussed. So how do you interpret? There are a few questions you always ask, like what kind of changes does this represent? What changes does it represent? From what to what? Where are we moving, right? What driving these changes? Why there is a need of a floating city? What is driving this change? Extreme climate, extreme weather has created the necessity, has created the opportunity to really uh, design such kind of cities. What future forces behind this? What might the world be like in 10 years if signal gets bigger? What if it becomes common and a widespread? As I said, what happens if floating city becomes very common and it becomes widespread and and they are starting replicating it at a larger basis? And question is this the future we want to help make it? Is this the future we really want to be a part of? Then how are you being part of it? How are you being active towards it? Those are the things you start interpreting the signals, and those signals take into to your own advantage. Okay, look back to see forward. So I was talking about the look back. So you always, if you want to wherever you are, if you want to predict the future, if you want to think about the future, if you want to imagine the future, 10 years of future, you at least go minimum, you should go back 20 years. Okay, that will help you uncover the pattern. So I have taken one example of future of communication, how communication has emerged, and I have gone all the way back to the before Christ era. Okay, so 10,000 BC, there was only one way to communicate, was a face to face. The if I am next to you, I'm on a face to face basis, we are personally, there is only one way to communicate. In 550 BC, so almost 9,000 after almost 9,500 years after, Persians first time invented mails, where they used to write mail on a piece of paper or anything where they write it. They use somebody to actually send it, but it takes months and months. Like for example, if I am writing it, somebody takes my letter, they go physically, they walk all the way to the next city, they go. So basically my letter reaches the other guy after a month. It has a drawback. You cannot keep the conversation open. You cannot just answer one question after 1 month and another question, and he replies that you will receive after 2-3 months, because that guy walks and comes back, right? So it's a very, but that was the invention. That was the first time there was a change in the communication. The people, the humanity moved from the face to face communication to the mail communication. Then the next bigger event happened in 1854. Phones were invented, where people used to call, but there was a limitations. It was not widely spreaded. It was not everybody. If you remember, if you watch the older movies, there is a booth where people used to go there. They used to connect a line, and it has its own hassles earlier, right? Then in 1910, first time phones have started coming at individual home, that it has become more commercialized. People have started having phone in their home, and that become more, little bit more convenient for the people to communicate. Communication has become more easy for the people. Okay, just one second. This is blocking my chat was blocking my vision, sorry. Okay, in 1995, emails have come up. That was the major shift in the communication era. Okay, you could able to communicate, you can distribute to the multiple people at the very same time. I can communicate whatever I want to hundreds of people at the very same time. I just send them email, mass email, and I can communicate now. So 1995, this was again a major shift in the communication. Then in 2000, texting has come up, has taken a huge leap, right? Texting, the short lingo, the new words have been started arise, like LOL, ROFL, TY, and those new short text and lingo has taken birth in 2000. In 2003, Skype is invented. First time voice over IP has been invented, and people used to start calling from their internet, from the computer, and that's where and again, video calling was not there that time. Okay, it was only the voice over, or it was just an audio initially. 2010, first time Apple has started with FaceTime, where the real time face calling, and after that the video calling has become a new routine. Everybody used to do a video calling, video chat, video calls and everything, right? It has become normal. Face to face video communication has taken a next, communication has actually taken a next step level. 2015, emojis have taken place. Emojis have replaced text. We started expressing. Originally, texting, we only used to express the words or information, but in 2000, with the emojis, we also started expressing our emotions, our feelings, using the text. So this is so we have gone from the 10,000 BCs to 2015, the entire history of communication, how it has been shifted, and where we are today. Today, if you look at it, if I want to take a very current example, our entire meeting from the physical shifted to an online, to the Zoom call. right? That is it. A major shift in the communication is the major shift of the trainings. I used to take trainings personally with um, uh, with the students, and now I am forced to take the trainings with the students in using the, or to all my participants, to the business organizations, to all the corporate trainings, everything through the video chats, through the Zoom calls. Now, is this the major shift? Again, this is the major shift in the communication. So what happens now? We are here today, we are in 2020. You know where we stand today in terms of communication. What will be the communication by 2030? What will be the communication by 2040 or 2050? And are we ready for that? Are we capable enough to take the advantage? Now that's the future's thinking. Okay. Now coming to the next is scenario. Scenario is a description, which is one possible reality. Now, when you tick, scenario is the future scenario where you craft it using the signal and what drives those signals, right? So a scenario is a description of one possible reality that we might find ourselves living in, that we might living in this scenario in 2030, that 2030 will look like this and I will be a part of this and I will be doing that when, if it becomes reality. When you actually picture that futuristic scenario, right, it's like a short story you can immerse yourself in. That, you know, I will be like, I am sure that in a lot of time, even in while you are studying, when you start a business, when you are an entrepreneur, you have imagined the scenario कि एक दिन मेरा business बड़ा हो जाएगा, I'll be the richest guy, and if I become the richest man in the world, what I will do is I will buy one yacht, or I will go to this, I will throw a big party. And you suddenly started imagining when you are a millionaire. I'm sure everybody might have uh, uh, saw certain dreams and have pictured the entire scenarios in their mind, right? That's the scenario. Now make it more realistic, make it more scenario from the business perspective. Come, take those signals around you and start emerging it, and craft those scenarios for the future, that what happens and what if I am part of it, what will it be, how it will be, right? I am giving a few example of the scenario. One scenario with the signal of a video faking algorithms. Okay, now video faking algorithms are now, so listen very carefully to this scenario, because this scenario can come up with a lot of questions. Video faking algorithms are now so advanced that fake videos are impossible to distinguish from the real footage. Okay, so these algorithms have become tremendously advanced. The technology has go to that extent and matured enough that you cannot possibly distinguish the whether it's a real footage or whether it's a fake video. Okay, now these video faking algorithms can completely replace people's faces, people's speech, to make it appear that they have said or done anything, or whatever the author intends to make it, right? With this technology, anyone can manufacture the proof, video proof, to back up any claim, any legal claim they do it. They can create this kind of a fake video and use the video proof to back up their claim. And these video fakes are flooding major video sharing, social media, and live streaming platform. What happens if it becomes a reality using the video fake algorithms? What happens to the social media? What happens to the news? What happens to people interpreting those news? Simply imagine our people interpret the messages in a different way. Simple message like during this pandemic, when Narendra Modi said that uh, do clapping or thali bajana, people have created people have danced, right? Then so people interpret in a different way. People do not understand the reality of what it is, because everybody's interpretation becomes different. What happens when this social media flooded with these wrong messages? What happens to the media? How much media can take leverage of these kind of algorithms, and what happens then, right? So this is one scenario which makes you think about the future. Another scenario, very fascinating scenario, and I'm sure you will love it. It's called read and write neurotech implants. Okay, Now, read and write neurotic implants are already a reality. This is not a futuristic sci-fi imagination I'm putting it. This is a reality. It is already being tested. It is already in the lab. Okay. A device can be implanted in your brain that reads your thoughts and feelings and also writes new artificial thoughts and memories directly into your brain. So simply today, if you want to read something, you simply like read it and you try to process it. In the future, you can simply, it's like a plug and play. It's like a USB stick. You simply plug and play to your brain and you will know everything. And if you want to transfer your knowledge, you simply copy your brain and put it into somebody else's brain, implant it, and the knowledge has been transferred to them. If this is the reality, if this becomes common, the best version of this product is successfully intercepts 80% of all the data. Okay. And you need to get a license version. You need to get a lot of licensing done. But here everything is free for our school and we were not utilizing this platform. So it was just an idea from my end that let's utilize this platform, let's get everyone onto this. This is the student clouds all your data. Today, if I have these 40 videos on my screen, at the end of the meeting when this recording will get stopped, let me. I am not able to hear. I am not able to hear. May I know who's this? Again, sorry. Okay, we'll take question answer and have all the discussion later. I know this has triggered a lot of questions for you, but we will take it soon. Okay. Okay. So best. Sorry, let me close my chat. Device, the best version of the product is successfully intercept. So it says that it intercepts 80% of the data. So I can literally transfer 80% of my knowledge to other people's brain using these read and write neurotic implants. Data and sent to your brain's hippocampus, giving you close to perfect recall of anything you have directly read, seen, or experienced. So, for example, even if I have gone somewhere, let's say I have traveled someplace and I have experienced whatever I've seen 10 years back, I can literally copy paste and give exact same situation to somebody by explaining, simply transferring my knowledge with the visuals, with the feelings, with the expressions, with the aha moment, which I have, that the same aha moment I can give it to the people. Now, if that happens, this neurodata can be even saved in the cloud, where it can be sent to other people's implant or a brain, so they can remember what you have read, seen, or experienced. What happens if it becomes reality? This neurotech implants are already there. It is still in the lab, of course, but what happens if it becomes commercialized? Right? What becomes when its application reaches to the millions of people? When this kind of questions you start answering, these kind of questions you start interpreting for your own business, for your own personal life, that is crafting a scenario. It's very important when you craft a scenario for your own future. Okay. So we don't want to live in somebody else's future. It is time we don't follow, we lead. We want to live in our own future. So it's time that we create our own future. We design our own future. We just don't follow. And that is the reason this particular field is taking a huge momentum. People are coming together to create. Community is being built. As I said in the 5 principle, that community, create the community who are more futuristic. Either optimistic, pessimistic, it doesn't matter, because a pessimist can be converted into the optimism, right? So create a community who are interested in it and start discussing that. Okay. So future, I always say future is a gift. There is a lot of potential, huge advantage to this future. Only thing is, how do we take advantage of this? So the question is, are you really future ready? So let us know if you are future ready. There is one small exercise. I want to understand how much excited you this situations. What future are you really interested in knowing? So one exercise I really want to do is that will help us also, like take a picture with whatever future excites you, whatever future you want to explore. You can say, I am like, for example, I have taken my picture that I am interested in the future of education. I'm personally doing a lot of research, a lot of exercise. I meet a lot of academicians, a lot of industrialists, and I'm doing a lot of work on the future of education, that how education is moving in the future. So that excites me. What is the future you excites you? So please take, if you can, I would love to have it. I would love to know what you are interested in. So take a picture of whatever the future excites you, whatever the future you want to explore. Okay, you go on Instagram, follow Hedweeg Innovations, post your photo and tag Hedweeg Innovations. You can, if you are a photo shy, if you don't want to use your face, you can simply put a write up, or with a thing or some signals, you can give it to me, and put it. If you don't use Instagram, if you don't have Instagram, you can send an email to pooja@hedweeg.com and we will post it on your behalf. Okay, we will repost it so everyone can see this, and we can create a community. The whole purpose is when everybody sees something. Let's say if I am a future, why do we do this? When I say I am interested in the future of education, the people, I don't know what all the future you are interested in, but if somebody is interested in the future of education, there is a potential that we can discuss. There is the potential we can share the knowledge. There is a potential we can share our experiences. There is a potential we can create something better together. Similarly, if people start posting it, we can create the community who are more futurist, who can actually think in a proper way, and okay. So that is why we are in the process of creating those community who are more futurist, who are fascinated about the future, who are excited to explore it, and ready to actually take those challenges, and ready to take an action today in order to design the future for tomorrow. Okay, so please do that. I'm looking forward to all the photographs right away. Okay, I have taken mine. I am interested in the future of education. Okay, future group. Before I went, I also want to thank, there was a future talk initiative, and sponsored by future talk. We are creating the future group, where the like-minded people who really want to discuss the future of different topics, right? So we meet, we share, and we design the better future. When we say we meet, let's this time, Nick, when we meet, we discuss about one topic. Let's say future of education. Then we everybody discuss about the future of education. Everybody put their own thought process. Next time we meet and we talk about the future of work, future of gaming, future of construction industry, future of fashion, future of finance, future of investment, future of social media, future of relationship. Everything has a future. If you think about this, what future excites you? What future gives you the goosebump that yes, this future I really want to explore? Future of movies, future of cinema, whatever excites you, put it. And if you want to be a part of this group, let us know. This is a great initiative by the future group of future talk, so I want to thank them as well. And we are creating a group. Once the group is formally created, we will start having a regular meets, and start discussing different topics and everything. So if you really are interested, please let us know, and we will ensure to include in the future group. Okay, so that ends it. Thank you very much. I hope I have given you I know it's a very big topic. I can go on and on. There are multiple techniques and everything, but I give you the most common technique, and at least give you the glimpse of what futures thinking is. Is that really excites you something? Is that really something makes you wonder that yes, I really want to explore this? Then let me know, and I'm open to any questions if you may have. You can unmute and start asking me questions, or you can just type it, post it.
The one question which comes to my mind is,
sure,
because such future thinking for me was still in the stories, but how far do you think will this be implementable actually, the thoughts?
it's again, as I said, it's up to us, how much action we take it, because it is not about as I was mentioning, it is not about
not a
predicting.
prediction. Yes,
it's not prediction, it's imagining. What you can imagine and what action do you take? the more important is not how much it is possible, how much you can make it possible. That is more, how much you are passionate about, how much action you take it. That becomes more if you can imagine outside the box, and if you can able to do it, yes, you can change the world. But if we run on the traditional rut where the people are going, we are just running with the competition, that yes, we are not able to going to make it. It is about our imagination, it's about thinking, right? People have no questions, or they are still thinking.
Is it
They're
different
still
than design thinking?
uh, yes. So design thinking, okay. So design thinking is of course there is a lot of similarity, but if I want to put it into, when you apply design thinking principle for a society, for a social cause, for the environmental cause, for the political cause, and solve the problem, a larger problem, that becomes the futures thinking, if I want to put it in a very subtle manner, right? So like professionally, I'm a design thinking and innovation consultant, and this is the practice. So I'm coming up with my new series called Design the Future, where how design thinking principle can be leveraged to create the future. That is where we are coming up with. So we are doing a lot of research, and we are coming up with a lot of new sessions on the on the using the design thinking principles.